Hi, Mystery Recap here. Today, I'm going to explain an American dystopian film called The Darkest Minds. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the year 2043 in the United States, children and teenagers start to die because of a terrible disease that only afflicts children. This disease is contagious and spreads very quickly. However, this disease is only lethal to children but not to adults. As a result of this virus, 98% of children and teens die, and only 2% of children survive the disease, and the children who survive become abnormal. The disease triggers a special ability in these children which makes them dangerous. The government urges all parents to hand over their surviving child to a camp for healing and research. And at that time, the President of America, President Gray, claims that his son, Clancy, has survived the disease and is currently being treated at the camp for healing, and his condition is getting better. In the camp, doctors and scientists classify children and their disorders into 5 colors. First, it is the greens, for children whose intelligence has increased. The second is blue, for those who have telekinetic abilities. The third group is gold, who have the power to manipulate electricity. The first 3 groups are considered to be quite safe, and are only being treated in healing camps. The fourth group is the group that is considered dangerous, which is the red color for those who can control fire, and the fifth group is orange, the most dangerous group, for those who can manipulate the minds of other people. The red and orange groups are very rare, and the government considers them very dangerous and orders them to be killed immediately on sight. The film takes us to a setting where a little girl named Ruby is celebrating her birthday with her parents. They are worried because all the children around are dead, and only Ruby is still alive. At night, Ruby comes to her mother's room to calm her down, but suddenly she has a strange vision when she holds her mother's hand. In the morning, her mother does not recognize Ruby as her child anymore, and her mother calls the government to take Ruby away to the healing camp. Finally, Ruby is taken with the other children to the healing camp. Every child brought to the camp gets examined by the doctor to determine what abnormality they have. Ruby is taken to the examination where she is identified as being orange, the most dangerous group that can control other people's minds. Therefore, the doctor immediately wants to inject Ruby with lethal injection. But Ruby is able to control his mind and convince him that she is green, the ones whose intelligence has improved rapidly and is not considered dangerous. On the camp, there are 3 groups, green, blue, and gold, but there are no red nor orange, because they are all killed immediately on sight. Ruby then lives her life in the camp as a green. 6 years have passed. Ruby, who is working in the camp, is scolded by the camp captain for making a mistake. The captain feels that Ruby is more stupid than the other people there, and grows suspicious. However, Ruby's campmate tries to defend Ruby and insults the camp captain, which infuriates him, and as a result, the captain takes her away for punishment. The children are treated really badly in the camp. Later at the camp, frequency tests are often held. In short, this frequency test is a test that uses a very loud sound whose frequency can only be heard by the children. During this frequency test, Ruby faints, and she is taken to a doctor called Dr. Kate for further examination. From the examination, the officer finds out that Ruby is an orange. Dr. Kate secretly writes a note to Ruby that they have found out Ruby is an orange and will kill her immediately. And Dr. Kate tells Ruby to meet her in the boiler room. In a panic, Ruby then directly goes to the boiler room, and in there, Dr. Kate is waiting for her. By that time, the alarm has been sounded for an intrusion, and all officers are ordered to look for Ruby. With Dr. Kate's help, Ruby manages to leave using Dr. Kate's car. But at the checkpoint, Ruby is almost caught, but Ruby uses her power to control the officer's mind to let them escape. Finally, after 6 years, Ruby manages to get out of the camp. In the car, Kate gives Ruby a panic button that can be activated as a tracker if she is in danger. Kate explains that she is part of the Children's League, whose mission is to save children from the camp and fight the government. Kate takes her to a gas station to meet her boyfriend, Rob, who is also on a child rescue mission. But when Ruby almost falls and holds Rob's hand, she has a vision of Rob, who seems to like abusing children. Ruby becomes suspicious of their motives. When Ruby changes her clothes at a shop, she suddenly sees a small girl who can manipulate electricity. The girl runs away when she sees Ruby, and Ruby chases after her. The girl then gets into a van, and Ruby follows her to hide from Dr. Kate. The little girl is called Sue, and she is a mute and always wears gloves due to her ability. Sue is accompanied by 2 friends called Liam and Charles. Liam is a blue with telekinesis ability, while the intelligent Charles is a green. They agree to go with Ruby and help her escape from Kate. On the way, there is a woman who tries to chase them, Her name is Lady Jane. Lady Jane is a child hunter who works for money. While in pursuit, Kate also tries to pursue them. However, Liam uses his telekinesis power to harass them by scattering the leaves, cracking the road, and even knocking down the trees. As a result, they manage to escape. They also begin to get to know each other better, but Ruby does not reveal her identity as Orange and lies that she is a Green. Liam explains that they are on their way down the East River to a group of children led by a mysterious person nicknamed the Slip Kid. They don't know the identity of the Slip Kid, but it looks like he's an orange who can control people's minds. He also explains that the Children's League led by Dr. Kate is not a good place to stay. He used to be in the Children's League, where they train children to use their abilities to fight against the government. Liam didn't like the idea of becoming a soldier, and so he eventually left the League. Meanwhile, Ruby and the others spend the night at an inn. Ruby remembers the time with her parents. It is revealed that she couldn't really control her ability, and because of that, she accidentally erased her parents' memories of her when she was a kid. While sleeping, Ruby accidentally touches Sue's hand and then gets a memory that Sue used to be in a government camp, but eventually, she and hundreds of other children rebelled and fled, and the rebellion was led by Liam. Because of the trauma during her life at the camp, Sue became mute. In the morning, they go to a long-abandoned mall to shop and pick up some supplies. They really enjoy their moment together, since they never have a normal childhood. But suddenly, their bodies are lifted and controlled by a group of people. Luckily, Sue uses her electric power to stop it. It turns out that they are also a group of children who have telekinesis abilities. At night, they talk about the Children's Association in the East River and its very secret nature. They know where East River is, but they can't tell Ruby and her friends the exact location because it's a secret they cannot tell. However, Ruby uses her telepathy secretly to make one of them unconsciously gives a clue about the location, which is the letter EDO. Later that night, the genius Charles tries to figure out what EDO is, but he finds nothing. However, after speaking with Ruby about her father being a cop, Charles starts to realize that EDO might be a radio frequency. He concludes that E represents 5, D represents 4, and O represents 0. And he uses the number 540 for the radio frequency. Finally, they receive a message from the frequency and finds that the location is at Lake Prince, Virginia. The next day, on the road, they are ambushed by Lady Jane, the child hunter, and she uses the sound frequency of her rifle to incapacitate the children. Luckily, Ruby uses her power to control Lady Jane's mind, and gives Jane a deserving punishment. Liam and the others are shocked that all this time Ruby is Orange. It turns out that Ruby has lied to them all this time because she isn't proud of her abilities. Sometime later, Ruby confides with Liam about her past. And they start to fall in love with each other. Finally, they continue their journey and arrive at Lake Prince, Virginia. There, they meet other children like themselves. They are so amazed because they haven't seen that many children in a very long time. They also meet the Slip Kid, and it turns out that all this time, he is the son of the president, Clancy Gray. Clancy is an orange, just like Ruby. At night, they have a party. Liam and Ruby dance together romantically. In the morning, they are all given an assignment, and Ruby is assigned to help Clancy. Clancy tells Ruby that he is one of the first people to survive the terrible disease, and the government used him to experiment to create a cure. But the doctor failed. And his father, the president, lied to the public that they had found the cure. Clancy eventually escaped and formed a children's association where all the children can live safely. Clancy then teaches Ruby how to control her power and control other people's minds without touching their hands, and Ruby finally succeeds. In return, Ruby teaches him how to erase people's memories. However, during this process, Clancy controls her mind and tries to kiss her. Ruby is distraught, and she hits him and leaves. Ruby and her friends finally decide to leave the place. But while on the run, they are ambushed by troops from the camp. Liam tries to fight back, but suddenly he becomes unconscious. It turns out that Clancy has made him unconscious. It is revealed that all this time, Clancy has been the mastermind behind it all. Clancy has contacted the camp captain to arrest all the children. Clancy has been manipulating his father, the president, and taking control of the government using his power. His main goal is to create his army of children with superpowers so that he would never get abused by anyone. Ruby then uses her power to make the camp captain commit suicide, and Sue controls the electricity to create a trick to escape. Suddenly armed forces arrive with helicopters to arrest all the children. The troops brought the children in the red group who can control fire. It turns out that they are secretly weaponized by the government, and they set the camp on fire. The battle finally ensues. The Red Army tries to burn Liam and his friends, but Liam uses his power to retaliate. But suddenly, Clancy comes in the middle of the battle and manipulates the minds of all the children there. Liam and the others are forced to leave the location and leave Ruby there, because only Ruby has the power to face Clancy. Ruby uses her ability to create her army. However, Clancy shows his brutal nature, and controls their mind to kill themselves by shooting each other. Clancy then tries to use his new memory erasing powers to turn Ruby to his side, and forget her friends. But Ruby uses her power to control the pilot's mind, and a helicopter crashes and explodes. Ruby manages to escape the explosion with the help of Charles, but unfortunately, Charles gets burned, and he is severely injured, leaving Ruby no choice but to use her panic button to call the Children's League for help. The next morning, the League squad comes to pick them all up. Charles is immediately taken to the hospital for treatment, while Sue is adopted by a good family. But Liam is arrested by the League because he has betrayed the League before. The League considers Liam knows too much about the League to be left free. Ruby meets Kate and bargains to release Liam by promising to be a soldier in the League, and fight against the government alongside them. However, Kate is sure that Liam will never leave without Ruby, and he won't let Ruby join the League. Finally, Ruby meets Liam. Liam explains that he wants the two of them to stay together and discuss plans for both of them in the future. But Ruby is forced to erase herself from Liam's memory, so that Liam can be released and so that she can join and fight with the Children's League. All memories of Ruby from their first meeting in the van, chatting together and dancing together, are all gone from his memory. Suddenly Liam doesn't remember anything about Ruby, and Liam leaves. Ruby then cries as she sees Liam leave. At the end of the story, Ruby joins and trains with the Children's League. But there is more. The struggle of Ruby and her friends is far from over, because it turns out that Clancy is still alive. And a fierce battle between the two sides will be inevitable. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.